Okay, people, let's speak on this for a minute. Looking at the news and looking at different articles and the media and what they're saying in the state of Texas, this pandemic is on the rise because a lot of people are not following the guidelines that are set by the government and so forth and so on. Mandatory wearing of a mask and washing your hands and all these rules and regulations that they have to try to curb or eliminate some of the cases that's happening of the COVID-19 in the state. The state of Texas went from 5,000 new cases a day to 5,400 and some odd number. So we're going to say from 5,000 new cases a day to 5,500 cases a day as of today. That is a substantial amount of people that's actually contracting this virus at an alarming rate. There's no way that you can keep up this. The hospitals are overwhelmed. Now I'm reading that Texas Children's Hospitals will be accepting adults in some of their beds and rooms or whichever, which that still, if Texas Children is accepting adults, that eliminates some of the capacity that you have for kids, because Texas Children is primarily for kids. So if you have adults taking up that space, that means less kids can go. You see what I'm saying? What you have to understand is that the state was opened up too soon. And everybody was saying, well, this second wave is coming, and what we're going to do by phase 2. And there's no such thing as a second wave. There's no such thing as phase 2. You can't have a next level until you clear the first level. The first level of the virus never left. It just subsided a little bit, but it never was eliminated to where you could say, okay, we got through the first level, but now we're waiting on the second level or second phase. There's no second. You still within the first. And unfortunately, it's going to get worse than what it is now. You're not really feeling the full effects of this virus and what it's creating. Right now, you are feeling the effects of February. You're feeling the effects of January. You're feeling the effects of March. That's what you're feeling now. So now when you go through April, May, June, and coming up on July, you have a lot of festivities coming up. You have 4th of July coming up. You have some of these ins and outs like festivals that's coming up that a lot of the time the state don't want to eliminate, because the state still want to make money as well. So now you have to choose. Do you want to make money, or is it that the health of the people is more important? See, you have to choose either or. You can't be on the fence. You can't want money generated in the state and still try to eliminate the virus. You can't do that. You're going to have to choose which one you want. But I must say, and it's not coming, I don't believe in Republican and Democrat and Liberal. I don't believe in all that. It's always somebody that's either on top, the middleman, or then you have your scapegoat. Now, this is just my opinion. You have to understand what Governor Abbott of Texas is doing and how he's looking at it. See, he made a lot of decisions initially on himself, as in, my word is bond. You listen to me and what I say because I have the final word. But now that that shit is backfiring, he's saying, okay, we're going to allow the mayors and other people of the state that's in prominent places to make decisions according to what they see as fit. So now he's removing that responsibility off of him because it was a lot of backlash and he can't deal with the failure. So now when something happens, you won't look to the governor for it. You'll look at the person who made the decision. You see what I'm saying? You also have to, like I say, I don't believe in Republican and Democrat and things like that, but going from what it is right now in today's time, we know Texas is a Republican state. Governor Abbott only can do what the federal government tell him to do. So if the federal government or the president or whoever tells him he has to do something a certain way, he has to enforce that or risk losing funding for your state. And we know how petty POTUS can be right now. We know that we know what we're dealing with. And this ain't no racist, this ain't no prejudice, it's just what it is. And a lot of you refuse to accept the truth. It is what it is. You got to call it like you see it. Either do what I say do or risk funding for your state. But they're telling you in a subliminal way of saying, okay, this is what I want you to do, but in my opinion, I suggest you do this or don't do that. You see what I'm saying? Because they know the truth. They know what's going on. This virus is not going anywhere. Yes, people say, well, we had all the protests. Okay, that's obvious. But you can't have protests if you never open up the state. So you learn that in 3rd grade, 4th grade, cause and effect. You see what I'm saying? Because you opened up the state, you left everything susceptible to everything opening up. Meaning that protests, restaurants, strip clubs, dance clubs, whatever it may be. All that fell under the umbrella of reopening the state. If you didn't reopen the state as fast as you did, you would have lost money, you would have lost a lot of businesses, but you're going to lose that anyway. So it wouldn't have been room for a protest or anything else because the state is shut down. See what I'm saying? You have to look at the big picture and remove your personal emotions and your personal vendettas of what you have for a person and look at the bigger picture. Use common sense. You have to be realistic. And a lot of people are not being realistic. Number one, you're not using the correct mask. Number two, where you're going at, you are enforcing the mask rule or the 6-foot rule or whichever. But at the same time, it's not going to help because of what's going on. The pandemic is already spread. It's not that you just got a whiff of it and say, okay, let's stop it before it happens. It has already happened. So now, okay, I'm going to put it in layman's terms. It's easier to eat right and not get fat than it is to get fat and try to lose weight. Now, do you understand? So let's just be realistic about things, man. Until they shut it back down, until they be more strict on this, it's going to continue to be the same thing, and it's only going to get worse. Like I said, you're only seeing January, February, and March right now. This is where we're living right now. So think about when the other months come through. Stock market down, gas and fuel is down, people are losing their jobs, unemployment. But instead of fighting your government, instead of pointing fingers and saying who's at fault, what race is wrong, what gender is doing this, instead of you eliminating all that bullshit, do you know what you should be doing? You should be going to your federal government and saying, all this money that we have paid in taxes, all this money that Federal Reserve and the federal government has collected from us, years and years from me, from my mother, my father, my grandmother, so forth and so on. Now it's time for you to put that money back into the people. You $1, $2, or $3 trillion in debt. Another $1 trillion won't hurt you. Because if you could operate on that much debt, another $1 trillion ain't gonna hurt you. Operate the same way you operating now. All that shit is irrelevant now. You should be going to your federal government saying, I want to shut down the city because I want to live, but I'm holding you responsible for my job. I'm holding you responsible for my bills. I'm holding you responsible for these corporations that everybody has a contract with, meaning mortgage, car note, so forth and so on. I'm going to hold you responsible for that until we get this pandemic under control. So you need to put a halt to all these bills with these companies, and y'all need to come together with a contract to say, okay, you keep this going, we're going to pay you guys until we take the citizens of the world, of the country, keep their health so that we can continue to get this money from them. The more die, the less you're going to get. The less you can sell. The less it's going to be in demand. Look at the fuel companies. Look at Halliburton. Look at all these big places in oil companies that's laying off of thousands and thousands of people because of the COVID. If you don't get a control of this, this whole country is going to go down into shit, which it was already 50% there. We have to open our eyes, people. Stop being divided on bullshit and come together, because you're fighting the wrong people. You fighting black, black fighting white, Asians fighting. All these people are coming against each other, which we all want rights and we all want respect. We all want our voice to be heard. But right now, we all should be fighting the federal government. But the federal government is very, very smart. Keep them divided and keep them distracted with the bullshit, then we won't have to worry about them rebelling or coming to us. You see what I'm saying? Look at the bigger picture, man. Everybody think everything is all good until it happened to them. Oh, that's in Texas. That ain't gonna happen here. Oh, that's in another state. The same way you felt that shit when that coronavirus hit, that it never was gonna be your state, your county, your parish. And look what happened. So you keep sitting on your ass, looking around thinking everything is all good, and not being proactive and saying, okay, what can I do to prepare? What can I do to say, okay, if I do lose my job, I need to do this, this, and this. Why wait until that shit happens? You need to come up with a game plan. Stop worrying about them goddamn food stamps. Stop worrying about them pandemic stamps and all that stimulus and all that bullshit. That shit gonna come and go. When you spend that money, guess what? You back in the same predicament you was in before, wondering how you gonna do what. That's a temporary fix. You have to look at long term. Stop looking at short term and right now and what you're gonna do now. Am I the only one thinking about my kids? Am I the only one thinking about what it's gonna be like for them? What you do right now is gonna determine and dictate how your kids live. I'm not even gonna hold y'all up, man. But y'all think about that, man. I'm gone.